All right, peace, everyone. Welcome to Parlez with Sensei Shui, episode 16. We're going to be talking about the game of life and how to play it. So, for today's podcast, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be basically using this book right here as a guide, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel. This is a book that was recommended to me, and I found this very highly impacting. And going to talk about the game of life and how to play it, referencing this book. And I'll be reading from it here on out. But before I get into that, I'm going to step on to okay, how is life a game in the first place? Because you see these different perspectives. You see people who see life as a competition, and you see people that see life as a game. These two different perspectives have two separate outcomes. Yes, go you. This is America. Don't catch you slipping up. Just anyways, because there's a difference between competition and creation. Because when you're coming from a competitive mind, I want to say it's a mind that's disconnected because it's seeing things that as coming from lack. Because if seeing things as it's everything is a limited resource, you really don't understand the true nature of the universe or reality. If you're thinking that everything is truly limited, and I'm not talking about like, oh, what are you talking about? Well, yeah, water has things in it. Let me listen here for a second. When I'm talking about how the unlimited potential or the unlimited things of that exist, you have to think about what is it that comprises everything that you call or think of matter in this visible reality that you see. Like really, when you think of atoms and how everything kind of structures together or reality when you're seeing it, what is it? Have you ever questioned yourself this, how you actually see and what you're seeing? It's actually being put into your eyes and it's flipped upside down. Your brain is telling you everything else that's going on. So you're assuming everything that's created outside is truly outside of you, when in fact, what you experience and perceive is actually within your mind. Everything you see is inside of your head. So when you have the ability to shift the way that you perceive reality and these stories you tell yourself, the reality and the outside will indefinitely change to meet those standards. But the biggest thing with that is when you're changing anything like this, it does take time and consistency. It's not just like, oh, I'm going to say this and it happens right away. It's with persistency and saying it to yourself every day, to feeling it every day, to taking the action to make those feelings even stronger into beliefs in the reality that you take in. Will that then shift to it? And I'm just going to be going through this book here, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel. So this woman wrote this book in about 1910, 1920. And I just find it fitting, since we're going back into that 100-year cycle all over again, to get some knowledge from a woman from this time that was 100 years ago. Because since life is a game and this is a holographic universe, just look at the CIA documents. There are certain things that are cyclical, or you could say everything's cyclical, just like summer, winter, spring, autumn, just like night and day, just like hunger and fullness, just like attraction and aversion, just like hot and cold. All those things are natural cycles, but things of one experience in itself. And with these things, there's certain rules that things go by. Just like if you notice nature of observed nature outside, there's a certain time which fruit comes from trees. Fruit's just not coming off of trees all the time. There's a certain time that pollen falls from trees and it's planting itself again. It doesn't just happen all year long. There's a certain time that is a lot more stressful than other times. And if you're like me, living in the South and in the Gulf, there's a certain times that hurricanes come through. This isn't just happening all the time. So when you start to know and recognize these cycles that are happening in the reality that you experience, and you play along with these cycles like a game, then you could better navigate your way through and then create the reality that you want to experience. So I'm going to go ahead and read through this. Most people consider life a battle, but it is not a battle. It is a game. It is a game, however, which cannot be played successfully without the knowledge of spiritual law. Okay, and so when I talk about spiritual law, it's the law of action-reaction, or as the Hindus call it, the law of karma, or for those who are into Christianity, the game of giving and receiving. However you want to put it, the game and the way this works is through outputs and inputs, or through causes and effects for those who are fans of the Emerald Tablets. Yeah, exactly, like the Hermetic laws, like the laws of cause and effect. Very similar things, because the cool thing about this is just it's the same knowledge that just keeps getting repackaged, 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 and repackaged to try to get humans to understand the point. Or as new things come across and we think, oh, everything's all brand dandy and new. No, it's the same thing that's been going on. And it's just been reiterated and there's something new. Just like, the iPhone 11X is not much different than the iPhone 4 or 5. There's just some extra stuff to it, but it still works pretty much the same exact way. So what I find what's really interesting is the conscious mind has been called the mortal or the carnal mind. It is the human mind, and it sees life as it appears to be. So that's the biggest thing when I'm saying how something appears to be. Think about just one situation that's happening right now in your life. Like literally, it could be something as simple as someone coming home and walking in the door. From that one experience, every single person who's experienced that is going to have a different reason in their heart to why that's happening and the mood that they feel when that person walks through the door. So the way how we see life, how it appears to be, we could give a stories like, oh, they're coming home and I'm so happy they come home because when they come home, everything's great and they're going to make some food, it's going to help. Or, oh, they're going to come home and it's so annoying and da da da. But that appearance that they make it out into their mind subjects and layers that type of reality they experience and they translate within their mind and in their heart. Likewise, if you go on a deeper context as to spiritual phenomena, there are some things people are completely ignorant of because they think that, oh, well, if I go, the only way for me to make money or the only way for me to be successful is for me to have to rip people off, or if I have to like go to work and do this. There's no way other. If you look on TikTok, people just literally creating it by doing what they love. And from the prana or the creative substance, one book I'm reading, they call it the thinking stuff comes through and then it manifests for them. How does this work? Because remember, the conscious mind is the mortal or the carnal mind. It's the mind that just sees things and it's like, oh, that's what it is. Like, this is a piece of paper, so it has to be paper. Or, oh, that's a tractor over there. It wasn't like, I thought it was a being and then just changed shape. What do you think it really is? And then this goes into, it is the human mind that sees life as it appears to be. It sees death, disaster, sickness, poverty, and limitation of every kind, and it impresses the subconscious. The superconscious mind is the God mind within each man and is the realm of perfect ideas. So to span that gap, when I'm seeing it, when it's seeing death, decay, all those like, whoa, why is it saying all negative? By that, what I mean, when you're seeing something that it has like an end and, oh, this is going to come to an end. Hey, what's up, John? Harry's going to come to an end. So if it's coming to an end, that means, oh, death, right? What is death? That's one of the things that humans fear the most, or almost everything fears the most, because from a carnal stance, it sees something as the end. This identity that this is what is the identity is attached to, with no say when I'm saying the spiritual identity of something that there's more than this. And when I say more than this, like your consciousness is a lot more than just your body and like putting something in your mouth and looking at things and touching something with these, right? There's a lot more going on than that. All right. Like if you've had any type of dream experiences, if you've seen any type of entities, if you've experimented with any type of astral projection or had any near-death experiences, or if you've ever tried any type of psychedelic or anything like that, that's giving you a peek on. There's a bunch of other stuff going on at the same time. And there's a lot more to life, death, and experience than just like waking up, eating, going to work, shitting, sleeping, and then sex on occasion. There's a lot more to life than that stuff. But if you think that's all there is to life, you become extremely limited in yourself and really are caught in what the Buddhists will call the cycle of samsara, right? Or samsara, however you want to put it, spelled different ways. But I'm just going through this book, and feel free to ask questions. But the biggest thing is if everything is this thing of causes and effects, right? From giving and receiving. A law of karma meaning action. It's a Sanskrit word. One of the many meanings of the Sanskrit word of karma. So man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. Since everything, so when I bring this up, I'm referencing this book, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. This woman wrote this book in like the 1910s. Yes, I'm teaching a class, kind of doing a podcast. So if you have any questions, please ask questions. So a man can only receive what he sees himself receiving. Since reality in itself is vibrational in its nature, and it's created by the thought and what you manifest brought forth, you can really only receive what it is that you picture or imagine yourself actually receiving. So if you have a situation you want to get yourself out of, you actually have to first start to imagine and see yourself moving out of it. You hear all these rap songs, you hear all these people talking. How do they talk about how they got there? Because they talked about it. They saw themselves getting there. They were envisioning themselves moving up and out of the situation. These people who lost all these weight, what happened? They saw themselves doing these things. They started acting this way. These people who ended up with the partner of their life, what they saw, what they felt like to be with this person, they felt themselves worthy of accepting these things. And then reality started to match its harmonic until those things met. It's not something just pops up and it's really like, wow, I didn't even see this coming. You might have not seen what it looked like, but you sure did feel something coming if you like want to tune in a little bit. So just with those things, it's very important to start to learn how to find your center, to really start to listen. And I'm huge on journaling. Write down something at least every week. If you have what's really cool, if you haven't tried this out, it's called conscious stream journaling. So it's like keep a journal or a piece of paper by yourself when you wake up. When you wake up, literally just start writing words. Like be like, oh, I'm so sleepy. I don't know what to write. But commit to writing like 1 or 2 pages. Just try it out and then see what happens. Like, I'm not going to give you any expectations, but if you're like, I don't know what to journal, try conscious stream journaling. That's literally waking up, have a piece of paper right next to you, and then just write, commit to writing 2 or 3 pages. And then just see what comes out of your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is able to be reprogrammed and accessed within the first 20 minutes of waking up and the first 20 minutes of sleeping. It's the theta state of consciousness. Also, ironically, but not ironically, the theta state of consciousness is also what the TVs put into your mind. So that way they're impressing your subconscious through commercials. So just a heads up. That's kind of how all this stuff works. When we're scrolling on TikTok and social media, a lot of people were in theta state and being impressed and programmed into these different things we're going in. Thinking like, how does it know? Okay, there we go. Thank you. When you visualize where you want to go, is it better to visualize something that you believe is closer? For example, if you have 300 subs, so you visualize 500 subs or 1 million. It's more of what do you feel is actually realistic that you can attain? Because it's not like, oh, well, start at 500 and then move to 600. If you feel like in your heart you could reach 1 million subs in however many time you feel it is, and you truly believe it, like when I say truly believe it, I'm saying without an ounce of doubt. Because if you find yourself 1 million, then start at 500, start at 1,000. But the biggest thing is if you want to move to 500, what you start to do, it's not just finding that and believing that, it's doing that and then taking action to make that happen. It's like, well, I want to get to 500 subs and not post anything for 2 weeks like I did on TikTok because I haven't been posting that much. I've been focusing on YouTube and getting some other things together, but I will be posting some more things on there. But the biggest thing is aligning your actions with your beliefs, because that's the biggest thing where I see in the new age community. I don't like to associate with it, but like for the sake of hashtags for people to find me, I add that to it just because like I'm more about the knowledge. I could care less about what people brand me as. But the biggest disconnect I see is this idea that we could think that, oh, we think this stuff without taking any action. Like action is what brings it from, you could say, that 4th dimensional range of thought into this 3rd dimension of physicality. If you're going to put numbers to dimensions, I really don't like doing that either because I feel like that's extremely limiting on the concept. But when you're visualizing where you want to go, it's not as much like, don't focus so much on the number. Focus on the feeling of having that. Just like, and it's not just, oh, picturing 500, like picturing what it's like for you to just be at dinner and you're eating and then you have people commenting on your phone, and what would they comment? What would you be typing in? What video did you just upload that they're commenting on and that you're laughing about, that you're very excited that someone actually was touched by the video? And like, what were you eating? What were you wearing that day? It's little details like that, that when it comes to manifestation and visualization, that's almost never talked about, because just to be kind of frank, a lot of people out here are just regurgitating stuff just for likes without actually doing stuff themselves. Like, I'm developing a whole story and I'll be doing live speaking within the next like 3-6 months. That's why you haven't seen me on TikTok as much. I'm really scaling up my stages to get this message out, because where I'm at now is completely different than where I was 2 years ago. Like, completely different. What was it? Manifestation, meditation, writing things down, saying my goals. A lot of things in my life have changed dramatically by doing these methods. By doing what? By really focusing on the little details. When it came to moving into a different house and living somewhere clear and having my own garden in my backyard, I just didn't think about that. I thought about it, and I still practice having like a little bucket in my backyard and feeding that and growing that food. Imagining what it'd be like to go in my backyard and put the compost in it and have to walk around to water. I couldn't just stand in one place of water, so I could walk around to water. What it'd be like to actually have like a clean bathroom where I could actually see everything and like do things and not be ashamed to bring people over to my house, and what it would feel like to host people. That was something that I put up. So visualize to the point where it feels like it's real, huh? Literally feeling the cold screen of your phone and seeing that you have 1 million subs. Yeah, it's something like that. And the thing is, it's not just, don't get so caught up on the number. Like, if you haven't watched Gary Vee, check it out. Don't get so caught up on the 1 million subs, but what type of lifestyle does 1 million subscribers to, say, YouTube, that's something that's monetized effectively? What would that change in your life? With that change in your life, how would you use that to impact others? How would you use that to enlighten others? With that finances coming in, how would your life look different with 1 million subscribers? Besides being really annoyed with all the comments. That was the thing on TikTok why I kind of slowed down, because it was kind of overwhelming to get on and just have like 300 comments and have to sit down and deal with that. Like, to be straight up honest, when things start to grow that people don't really think about, like, oh, I want all these people. And then when a lot of people actually start saying things, it's really having to balance like where to segment it off. Like, okay, this is where this is and this is where that is, but don't let it bleed into your life. So a lot of the things is feeling like it's real, but the biggest thing is, I would say, the why. With what it is that you want to accomplish, whether it's subscribers, whether it's growing your income, whether it's like even having a better relationship with your father, like myself. Like, people, there was something that were like, oh, manifestation, what'd you manifest? And people were like, oh, a house, I did a car, and oh, I got the job I wanted. And I was like, I manifested a healthier relationship with my father. And people were like, oh shit, because I actually did that. Because to me, that was one of the most important things, to really improve the relationship I had with my father, because that was one thing that I feel like gets put across a lot, that it's like people focus on these material things, but not what's actually going on in their life. What you kind of see these hidden themes in like movies, and if people, that are like maybe successful or doing things, but at home, it's like batshit crazy, because what is it? They were doing all these things externally to try to fix what's actually going on in here. I feel like I have to do podcasts like this and talk and do TED Talks and all this stuff to really get people. And thank you, John, for your support. Please spread the word to like get people to start to go into themselves, because how do we change the world? You start by changing yourself. Because I really believe all these things that we see going on outside is a reflection on what's going on in the hearts and the minds of individuals everywhere, collectively. And we're simply seeing this play out outside in reality. So instead of blaming and pointing fingers at, oh, this person that has this color flag behind them, this person that has this color flag, this person on the left or on the right, oh, the donkeys or the elephants, it's because they did it. Well, what's actually going on in ourselves? What accountability are we not wanting to accept? What things are we putting across? When it comes to like me, right? Something as simple as a paternal relationship, the relationship with my father, I understand. If you know any basic psychology, the relationship with your father is the first relationship you have based on every single male and masculine figure you have in your life, often with authority. Your relationship with your mother is often your relationship and how you identify with women and female figures for the rest of your life, and how you identify with accepting nurturing. So like by understanding those two dynamics in your life, I feel like going back and learning how to heal those things and learning how to address those and work those out will really help the rest of your life fall into place. Because sometimes when we want to change our lives and make a difference in our lives by like, say, like in this thing with the game and trying to change stuff up, Often, what we try to do is change things on the outside and change what we appear on the outside, when really what we need to do is go inside and really work on that. We got to do that stuff first, because you know what? It's kind of hard. It kind of sucks. And the thing is, it doesn't always have like the flowy flash flex and all of it. It has a lot of tears and some like really hard stuff. What are some really good books about this? I recently bought Think and Grow Rich, Master Key System, The Power of the Subconscious. And okay, you're on a great start. I'll say those. This one right here. So screenshot this, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. It's 111 pages. It's straightforward. I love it. It's like it's like a full of a bunch of mic drops. Like that's the best way to put it. Like I find some of the best books are the shortest ones, because like they could say it and it's like you want to like read it and underline like, okay, just like I was talking about. Any inharmony on the external indicates there is mental inharmony. As within, so without. Hermetic principles like, ooh, wait. I know your name. Like Billy Rodriguez 45 was talking about earlier, right? All these things are just simply restated. So this book, and then also The Science of Getting Rich, or The Science of Making Money. That's another book I really like, because a lot of it talks about when it comes to how everything comes from the creative plane. And when it comes to creation of things, it's more of creating it in our mind and not seeing lack, because lack doesn't exist. There's abundance out there. Don't get mad at the plutocrats and plutocracy. It's almost like what I like in that book. They say, you know, the plutocrats and the extreme capitalists, they're much like the dinosaurs of the ancient age, like these giant reptiles. They're necessary for this time, but within what they're doing, they're creating the market and the abundance, which all of us get to benefit from. Because without that, everything would be in total anarchy, and we wouldn't really even have this opportunity, if you're going to be real about it. For everything that we see going on, we need all this crazy shit to happen in order to have this catalyst for change, this catalyst to do something different in our life, right? Because humans are very much a reactionary species. We need something to happen in order to have that reaction, that cause for the effect, right? How this entire conversation started. This book's really good. And then a book I'm going through right now is called You Are a Badass at Making Money. That one is really good. But if you read that book, do the exercises. Don't be like everyone else and just read the book and say it's amazing. Like really read the book, underline, write in it, like do your underlinings, write in it, and then go back and reread, reflect. Go back, reread, and reflect. Talk about it. Talk to your friends about it. Talk to your dog about it. Teach about it, because that helps it really get ingrained in your subconscious mind, and just keep it going over and over and over and over and over again. And keep acting and keep doing it over and over and over again. I hired a consultant to really help me scale up my income and scale up my reach. Why do I need to scale up my income? Because I need to help more people. More people need to hear stuff like this. There's a bunch of things going out here that like it's not offending me, and I don't see it as competition, but there's a lot of like, I'll be honest, it seems like hogwash, frilly dilly bullshit out there that's not really giving people the tools they need to like get up and change their life, or giving people practical methods. A lot of things are a lot of entertainment without any application. Nothing. I don't see anyone really talking about like going in and healing the relationship with their parents, or manifesting healthy relationships at home first before actually going out and, you know, attracting money and other things like that. Like you got to get yourself right first before you bring other stuff in. Because if you bring stuff into a broken house, everything's just going to fall on the ground. So get that house right first. Get that foundation right first. You know, if you ever grew up like me, you know, did you build your house upon the sand or upon the rocks? Make sure you upon the rocks first, and use wood or use steel. Do that before you decide what type of car you want to put in the driveway. Like, if you get my drift. But yeah, like that's a big thing. I feel this need to really provide this resource out there and get my story more out there about things that it's not just things I've been through, but the perspective I have in life and how the way I see reality and experience in my personal growth. I feel like this story and the way I tell could really benefit the collective humanity. And it's just getting to the time where people are actually ready to accept responsibility for themselves. Because another thing, Game of Life and How to Play It. It's man's divine right to have plenty, more than enough. When man breaks down the barriers of lack in his own consciousness, the golden age will be his, and every righteous desire of his heart fulfilled. That's the biggest thing. If you think in lack, you will experience lack. If you think in plenty and abundance, that's what you will experience. the classic glass half full, glass half empty. For me, I'm like, yo, there's a bunch of water up in here. That's how I feel. There's a bunch of water. Even if there's not water, there's different ways to get it. That's just kind of how I'm feeling about it. If you got any more questions, please keep asking questions. And so, like, another thing too, I make music too. I'm getting into doing subconscious programming music. So y'all on YouTube, you'll see I'll start to put out in subconscious like manifestations. So things to play when you sleep of affirmations. So a way I'm going to do affirmations is going to be like, I am happy. And then you go like, no, I'm going to say, wait, you are happy. And then be like, I am happy. I am wealthy. You are right. You are wealthy. I am wealthy. Type of things, right? Like a call and response type of thing. And then have some like the theta wave music, all that cool stuff to play when you sleep to help really get your mind to expect these things. Because a lot of this weird, that's how it works. Like I hired a coach who's done this, become a millionaire twice to help me do the same thing. And what did he tell me? He's like, bro, it's subconscious programming. That's the main thing. Most people, they want to know the biggest business trick, all this stuff, but you're not going to make $30,000 in a month if you don't feel worthy of making $30,000 in a month, if you don't expect that. Like if someone asks you, hey, like how much do you charge? And if you're not just like, oh yeah, I charge $5,000. It's like, if you're gonna be like, what do you think? And how do you expect you're gonna grow? Because if you're not expecting it, right? Like, how can you receive something you can't even picture or that you can't even say with a straight face or believe that in your heart? That's where you got to start out first. You need to start that out first, and then from there you could start to move forwards. Then from there you could start to move forwards and really get there. But first, you got to get this right. You got to get this right first for everything else to follow, and everything else will follow suit and align. Because I'm going to talk about this too. The subconscious mind is often impressed through music. Music has a fourth dimensional quality and releases the soul from imprisonment. Yes, it does. And in the same way, it could go vice versa. So listen to the music that you listen to. Like when I say listen to, like check out the lyrics and see if those are lyrics you want to be accepting in your mind and calling yourself that. Like really look it up. Is there better specific times to do subconscious programming? I noticed that's a little more effective before bed rather than after at work. Correct. Like I guess you got on a little later, but the best times to do is when you wake up and right before you go to sleep. So when you wake up and before you go to sleep, you're in the theta state of mind, which is that time when the subconscious is very active and programmable. So you do it like when you wake up and before you go to sleep. I have like a journal by my bed that I read. Like that's like, also I'm super like yogi type. So I literally sleep on the floor. It works for my back. Like to me, it works a lot better. And then, I feel very energized when I wake up. But see all these things over there, those are my books and my journals. So over there by my books and my journals, like I wake up and I'll read that to myself. And I say that to myself every day when I wake up, when I go to sleep. If I don't read it, I've done it enough that I have it memorized and I'll say them, And it's important to say that stuff when you wake up and before you go to sleep, because think about it. It's the first thing on your mind when you wake up, is the first thing on your bed when you're going to sleep, in your mind when you're going to sleep. And when you're doing things like that, you're really setting yourself up for success, and you start to expect those things. And when you start to expect those things happen. Those things happen in your life when you start to expect them, when you start to see something coming. Like if you think it's going to be hot outside, it's going to be hot outside. If you think it's going to be cold outside, it's going to be cold outside. And you're like, wait, what do you mean? Okay. If you've ever had those types of days when you wake up and it's like kind of grayish outside and you could be in your room and you're like, it could be, springtime and you're like you're feeling kind of cold and like, oh man, I gotta put a jacket on, it looks cold outside. And you go outside and you actually feel kind of cold for a little bit, but if you stay out for more than 15 minutes, you start sweating and you're really confused, and you go back in your room and you're hot and you're like, how did that work? Besides temperature getting a little more, when you're telling yourself, oh, it's cold outside, and you go outside and experience, that's what you experience. Likewise, that's kind of a daily lower level type of thing, but likely when you're programming yourself consciously and you're telling yourself that, I love myself completely, I trust myself completely. One of my favorite affirmations I use is, I'm a doorway for the force of God to flow through me, manifesting its higher will into this plane of existence through my actions, words, speech, and systems that flow through my being. Because another thing in this book that they speak on, yeah, that's a super good one. But it's like, I'm going to get next one. That's a good. Ooh, that's a really good one. But the thing they speak on is how like, okay, I have a question about visualization reprogramming the subconscious mind. If you could lucid dream and bring it to your advantage, can you lucid dream about your goals and literally live that reality every night? I would say like you could go ahead, try that. And the thing is you might already be that, but like looking into the symbolism of what your dreams are, because I do a little bit of dream work, lucid dreaming myself. And one thing I've realized, and it's a I could get the dream book in a second, but like I have a whole like I think that's episode 8 or 9. I got into dreams and I was talking about it. But the symbols we see in dreams aren't always like straight up like, oh, this is what's happening. If I saw, like a bunch of people wearing black, it's because they were dressed really fancy. No, if you see a bunch of people wearing black, that's pointing to some other symbolism of something. If you're seeing, oh, there's 20 people in the 20 beautiful women in the room all wearing black. All right. So it's like in 20 days, something very beneficial is going to happen. And then you need to pay attention to your emotional needs. And they're wearing black because there's a lot of victory coming to you, but you need to pay attention to the paperwork in your life. Something like that. But I know most of those things, the last part I kind of forgot. But it's like things like that. It's like, wait, how does this even relate? Like, wait, what? But it's is that something you know by intuition? Some of the things are intuition, but I'll get this book. So Pete, a second. Give me a split second. My dog, she's probably going to come up and try to lick me, but give me a split second. Oh, all right. So it's this book right here. Right here. Dream Language by Brita Ryan. So this book right here is compiled of over 50,000. It has over 50,000 words, but also, let me check. It's over like 200 years of dream research and journals compiled into one, and like actually interviewing and asking people what happened and all these things and seeing all the parallels and things. So for me doing this over the past like 4 months, the accuracy has been about 60 to 80%. About things that I've seen in symbols and have actually happened into my life, like on the days that it said it's going to happen. So it's something I find that's really interesting, because when it comes to dreams, oftentimes, like energy and spirit, they're not restricted to the same bounds of time or space like this physical vessel that we call the body is, right? And so in our dream times, like often our spirit is alerting us of different things are going to happening or prepping us for like different things. However, there's a certain level of dreams that I have experienced that are truly like me being conscious in a separate reality. That's a completely different story for a completely different talk. But just to bring this back to right now, if you're lucid dreaming about your goals and literally living that reality, when it comes into your goals, you'll be like symbolic of you overcoming some type of victory or overcoming some type of hardship when those are like your goals. It's like if you see yourself wanting to, quit your job and then do something, quit your job and then say be a YouTuber or whatever. So if that is the thing that you want to do, you might not see yourself quitting your job and becoming a YouTuber. You could literally see yourself like in a castle and then fighting a dragon. And then from the dragon, then you're the king of the castle. And then from there, everyone comes in like wearing black and you're drinking clean water and everyone's laughing and dancing. Like that's the symbol, because what was the things that you had to do? You had to overcome something externally that was a beast, summoning up inner courage for something you had to accomplish something. And in this dream, you're exercising these same types of mental faculties. So oftentimes, this is the space and the time of which these types of things happen and occur. All right. One of the things kind of get to it is to really talk about it, which I thought was really interesting, is that it says suffering is not necessary for man's development. It is the result of the violation of spiritual law. But few people are able to rouse themselves from their soul sleep without it. When people are happy, they usually become selfish, and automatically the law of karma is set in action. Man often suffers loss through the lack of appreciation. So it's very, very important for you to appreciate life and to express gratitude. It feels amazing, but oftentimes it's the dangers of mostly everything, but especially on the spiritual path is drifting. You want to be very aware of drifting because how do people end up drowning in the ocean on boats and rafts? Oftentimes they stop paddling and they just keep enjoying the sun and the clouds before they realize they can't see the shore anymore and they don't know how to get back. And so they start to panic because they didn't realize the current was slowly taking them out to shore and there was some type of resistance that they had to keep doing over and over and over again and over and over and over again. So the danger is not being appreciative of the things that you have in a daily life and doing the work instead to maintain these things. Doing the work and the appreciation, expressing the gratitude. Gratitude, it feels good. Do it. Like you see, like probably every single type of successful being talking about gratitude over again. I'm not even just talking about monetarily. Like someone who's happy, you could tell they're expressing gratitude a lot. Is a huge secret of the universe is gratitude. If you give someone a gift, doesn't it feel nice when they're grateful for it? Because how does it feel when they're just kind of like, hey, like, you stayed up all night, you're wrapping the paper and you're making something for me. Like, here, yeah, thanks. All right. What'd you give me? How does that feel? It's like, oh, that kind of hurts inside. But if, hey, I thought you really like reading this and it'd be great. Oh, thank you so much. Like I was just thinking about this and I'm so grateful. Like, thank you. I didn't think what there's no peace or happiness for a man until he has erased all fear from the subconscious. Fear is misdirected energy and must be redirected or transmuted into faith. Wow, that's amazing. See, interesting. Like things just kind of open up for me like that. But things like that, like it feels good to the person who's even given it. Because one of the main things that is an issue that we also experience is people separate the gift from the giver when the two cannot be separated. The gift and the giver cannot be separated, even though in physicality it might be. But when someone gives you a gift, your mental is still attaching them to the gift. Like these gifts that you're given through your birthdays, Christmases, whatever it is, Father's Day, Mother's Day, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, everything in between. When you see these things, you oftentimes remember the person. That energy is like summed up within you and you have a connection to them. The gift and the giver cannot be separated. So we must express gratitude when we receive things because there's no separation. So when we're meditating or asking for these things or manifesting these things or, God, the force, Allah, whatever, Brahma, Ganesha, whatever you name the force, whatever great spirit, whatever you call it, whenever it grants you something, express gratitude because you can't separate what was given to you from the gift that was received because there is no separation. The only separation is an illusion. Just like light and dark, there really is no separation. It's just like different dynamics of the same thing. It's just contrast of the same exact thing. So I'm going to start closing it out. If anyone has any other questions, going to start winding it down. Yeah. Thank you, brother. So the biggest thing about it is when you demand the divine design to come into your conscious mind, you will receive flashes of inspiration and begin to see yourself making some type of accomplishments. This is the picture or idea you must hold without wavering. So when you find yourself becoming inspired and there's other things that you want to do and you find these things just come in, really ensure, like write it down and hold on to it. Resummon these things, bring these things back up, resummon these things, bring it back up. Because just like how I was talking about earlier, when that entire thing of the raft and the danger of drifting out, the danger and when people drown often is not right by the shore. They get drifting out because they're just looking out the clouds too long and don't realize they're getting pulled out to shore. In spirituality, sometimes people get so lost up in crystal shops and whatever it is, and they forget to actually meditate. And next thing they know, they're under some crazy attack from energy and they blame it on whatever planet and not realize you'd be out of the grasp of the planets if you just meditate, because the outside is just no different than the planets within your own body. Once you start to really recognize these things and the importance of aligning yourself, and aligning yourself and keeping things in, then will you start to really be able to navigate the ship that is your life. I'm going to go ahead and let that sit for a second. And realize when it comes to fear, because fear, what it blocks us from, it blocks you from your own divinity. Because sometimes when we're fearing, especially when it comes to growth and expansion of something, what we wanted to do, have you ever experienced other timelines in dreams? So when you're saying experience other time dreams, honey, 22 honey, and that's what I'm just going to say. So 22 honey, have you ever experienced other timelines and dreams? Can you, I would say yes, but can you please expand on that so I could like get more specific to the question? Because I guess just kind of going into that, experiencing other timelines and dreams, I have. But when it comes into timelines and dreams, it's not always in this reality, but it's definitely been like, the best way to put it would be like parallel realities. And then I'm seeing what's going on in that, and I have interactions within there and time changes. Sometimes with similar people, but the way like stuff feels is not a dream. It is a dream just as much as this is a dream that we're experiencing right now. No, my baby cousin they bought a house recently and she recognized the house to a T. She knows the whole layout. So for that, I wouldn't call that a separate timeline. I would call that prescience. So it's like pre-science or prescience. So that's actually seeing the future. And so some ways that stuff happens because you have it too. Like I wouldn't call that an alternate timeline, but rather that's the thing they call retrocausality. So retrocausality is when the future affects the past. All right. Because as you know, most people are coming into common knowledge about time is not linear. I like to say time is circular and it's a fluid and we swim through it. And as we're swimming through it, we are swimming through it forwards. But sometimes what happened forwards actually affects when we're experiencing in the back. But oftentimes, if you're experiencing, because I do have like some of more my talents are in the prescience, seeing, feeling future things. When you're seeing these houses, a part of your spirit or your heart, if you've ever seen Donnie Darko and his heart's going out and he's going around the corner and then he's like going through it and it's a whole thing about time and all this other stuff, like things like that. Or if you ever look into Inner Standing with Seven Bomar and he talks about like dreaming, and Drumvalo Melchizedek talks about this too, about having dreams and you dream the entire day that you're going to have the next day. And then you have that and you live it. And it seems really cool until you like get used to it. But more what your baby cousin is experiencing is really seeing the future. Because when it's like, wait, is the future like set in stone? Not as much. It's not as much set in stone as when I throw this book up that it landed in my lap and I caught it. Because when we drop something, it's a certain probability. It's like, I like to say, my teacher puts it this way. Is it random if you have a giant bouncy ball and you're in a big square box and you just chunk it as hard as you can? And can you put to a T what you're going to put a dot, like say right here? So it's always changing. I'm getting there. So you get like a big ass bouncy ball, you just throw it against the wall and say you're just in a big cube room and you're sitting there, and the second you throw it away, do you think you could like point on the ground and put say like a penny or a quarter into where that would stop right away? Be like, wait, no, that seems kind of random where I'd be guessing. But say if you had the amount of air pressure, the gravity in the room, the weight of the ball, the speed of which you threw, the velocity, the velocity that of which it was thrown, you had all the data in the room, could you actually predict where it is? Because at the end of the day, it's just like matter, just like how they predict speed, or if you ever watch Mythbusters, how they calculate the speed when they launch the pumpkins. Is this a bunch of variables? When you have these, then it's something predictable. No much different than when you give like a 3-year-old a big gallon of juice and they start to pour it. Do you think if they pour it, is it going to fall and like break on the ground? Is there a very high chance if it's glass? Or is it going to fall? Is there a very high chance of it? Did you predict that? Are you seeing the future? Or is it just a very predictable thing that happened? Right? Just like, say, for women, right? Is this predictable? If you're, say, wearing a low-cut shirt and you do this and you're talking to a guy, are they always going to look down and be like, and get distracted? No, but how often has that been something that's been played to some type of, like, in some type of way? Is this predicting the future? No, but there's certain outcomes that we get to these places that have like they have some type of outcome that, oh, there's going to be some type of prediction in these types of things, right? It's not always like probabilities exactly. It's a game of probabilities. And just when if a probability is 98.934C362, then it's going to be like a one. So déjà vu. So like déjà vu, tu te parles français, that means you've seen before, right? Like already seen, right? It's just like, in the Matrix, déjà vu. If you ever have a déjà vu, here's the little tip, a little tidbitty tip. One of the biggest hacks for déjà vu, when you have it, don't focus on the déjà vu. Focus on what it felt like right before the déjà vu. What was the sequence of things that led before you actually seeing the same thing that happened again? Pay attention to that. That's something almost no one. They're like, oh my God, synchronicity, déjà vu. Oh my God, take out my phone. No, like really sit there and focus on that weird queasy feeling in your chest and that electricity on the back of your tongue, and really sit there and feel it to see if you can make it happen again. Try to rehack that shit. Just do it over again. Don't just sit there and be amazing and just like text about it or like 111 and text things. Like really feel what's going on. Try to see like when the ball's bouncing or when it's raining. Hear the pattern in the range, or when you hear dogs barking, see if you could pick out the pattern. It's just a pattern. It's just a probability of things that's happened. Like, never thought of thinking of like the pre-deja vu, because if it's a deja vu, it's not almost a pre-deja vu. You're just becoming aware that you're following within the same pattern, or it's a pattern that you've seen before in this matrix. That's a reality. You're being aware of a pattern before it's coming. So you're actually saying something and like, oh, not just a word, but you're seeing this. Oh, you're doing better. Yes, I was actually when you did that, I'm very happy about you, Angel 3. Yeah, when that came, like I'm grateful you're doing better. I'm super grateful. It's not crazy. It's called talking about synchronicities. Talking about synchronicities. This is how this stuff happens. This is how it happens, right? And so, yeah, thank you, John. And that's another one of my affirmations. I'm an excellent speaker. I'm a world-renowned speaker, and I speak on stages all around the world. So it's not as crazy you found me again. You found me again because it was just the right time for you to receive the message, And to get back into this thing with deja vus and with everything else, like when you see these things happening in your life, it's the biggest key point is these little things before. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn my light on here because the sun's been going down. The key thing is as to like what was happening before these things happen. Right. And just like with Angel, like how I was talking earlier to you, John, about the things in reality, they were experiencing something very, because I've experienced a lot of these things before, because that's the one thing. I don't speak on things I haven't experienced or done myself. Like that's why, I don't speak on astral projection as much, because I've really only successfully done it consciously 3 times. So if I'm not doing it and I know what I'm doing, I'm not going to talk about it all the time. But I will say each time I've astral projection, I've never seen a silver cord ever. Like ever. I've never seen that. So I don't know where they're coming from, or everyone's just saying the same thing over and over again. But bring it back here for a second. When it comes to all these things, and say like even with Angel, the way that they changed their life, John, a lot of the things was really taking charge, saying these things, moving forward, surrounding themselves with like-minded people, having these positive affirmations. I put them on Gary V, right? And then I forgot who else. I think I said what's his name? He's really Tony Robbins. Like putting these positive speakers who have been through a lot into your mind and reprogramming your subconscious. And when you start to do these things, then like your life will change and shift before your eyes, because just like how this whole thing started, the game of life and how to play it. Life is a game. It's not a battle. It's a game. So you want to play a battle, or do you want to play a game? It's a matter of perspective, and that's the reality of what you experience. All right. Because the thing is, really, it's a matter of what you put into it is what you get out of it. Yeah. 90 on day training. Oh, yeah. Good thing. And the thing is, each one. Teach people about that stuff. Yeah. I noticed that I kind of use sync numbers as a tool now, I think. I remember at work, it was my first day and I was working 9 hours and I felt like it would be stuck and not have enough time to complete my goals. As soon as I felt like that, not even a minute later, I saw 1 1 1 1 1 and I felt by intuition that I would be doing all right and just keep doing what I'm doing. Yes, because a big thing too is like sometimes these struggles that we're put in are truly tools that we use. And Angel, good job with the hustle. Like I'm very proud of you. And sometimes we use these tools in life, right? These things we have to go through these trials, right? Because what do? They give us these skills to get at that use at the next level. Just like people want to lift weights. Like I used to lift weights like crazy. Like I don't anymore. I just do yoga, right? But I used to be obsessed with trying to like squat 405. Like that was my thing. Squatting 4 plates. Like that was like front squat. Like that was like, oh, I must do this. Right. But the whole thing about that was I had to do 2 plates first, had to do 3, and then all that other stuff in between. And when doing those things in between, it was still heavy. And what was I doing? I was building up resistance, right? Yeah. Thank you. Lucky to have you on this moment. Soon you'll have thousands on live and may not catch our comments. You are correct. See, thank you. It's with people who support like y'all that I'm grateful for. And please spread the word. I will be doing things more consistently. On TikTok, I just need to find a way to schedule stuff because I also I run I'm a vice president of a nonprofit organization. And with this is like helping getting education around the world because it's bigger than me. It really is bigger than me about all this stuff. But to bring it back to all this stuff, when it came to me wanting to lift more weight, you had to make your way up. But with it, it's the biggest thing that like weightlifting taught me this much. Just when I had the ability, because I did reach my number, once I had the ability to squat 405, was 270 pounds still heavy? Yes, it was. But did I have the ability to move it? Yes, I did. Just like, oh, whatever you want to go to next, you say being, John, with your million YouTube subscribers that you'll have in the future. I would say with that million YouTube subscribers, put, like, do you think that you want to do that in the next 3 years, the next 5 years, next 2 years? What do you want to do? Find someone who's done that on YouTube. Go by, study their videos, write out how you want to do it, and then see that to yourself every day. And then it will happen as long as you stay the course. But the thing is, those skills you're learning right now in those 9-hour work days, how similar will that be when you have those 9-hour editing days, or when you have a million subscribers and you have to meet with like sponsorships and be on meetings all day, and then you have to get on YouTube comments, and you have to appear on on like a Zoom live, and then you have to get on TikTok live, and you got to get flown out to Argentina to do something, and you're gonna have to like get a little nap on the way there. Some of these same skills you're equipping now, and then you'll see how this works out, right? A lot of this stuff they'll come in at a later point in time, but our conscience might not understand this right now. Sometimes we want to be on the house at the beach without knowing, like, to get that house on the beach, you had to know how to get there. You know what I mean? Like, that's sometimes how it works. Yeah, exactly. Because it's a whole lot like these little things in life that we experience and we think like, shit, I don't know why I'm doing this. Well, it's giving you that muscle. It's giving you that strength. It's giving you those skills to learn how to persevere and to get through all these things. Thank you for, I don't know what that stuff is. Thank you for all the emojis. It's the first time ever receiving emojis on the talk, but thank you. And has anyone here, this is kind of a little off topic, but has anyone heard of Bigo? Because one of my friends has been telling me, bro, you got to get on Bigo. You got to get you a channel on Bigo. That's like the next level, like da. If you've ever heard of that, like I've been considering it, and then that's where I'm going to do probably some more of my music and still do some speaking. But I just do that like a little bit, just would schedule it in. Yeah, I haven't heard of it. I heard it's really big in like East Asia, like Southeast Asia and stuff like that. But I'm doing a whole lot of things right now, and so that's something that I may add on later on. Yeah, Bigo. Okay. Yeah. That's the thing. Like I've heard, like, one of my friends, he's a DJ, and so he DJs live on Bigo, and he's like, bro, it's lit. Like, it's, what's crazy about Bigo though? All right, since we're just really having a conversation right now, If you've ever seen Black Mirror and you know that episode when everyone's in their little pods and they're just watching people on live and people are entertaining themselves on and they're just people watching on live, that Bigo looks like that's what the platform would be, because it's kind of like Facebook or TikTok or Instagram, but they literally only do live streaming. Like literally only live streaming. Yeah. And so I thought that was really interesting. But the whole thing is like if you work with them, you have to like contract with someone and you have to do like 30 hours a month and things like that. And you know, that's just an hour a day, but like you got to schedule that in. And then for me, like I took a whole trip in the forest where I was just all by myself and really reconnected with God in the forest. And that was amazing. Like it was incredible. I highly recommend everyone do that at least once a year. Take your time. And I literally say take for a reason. Take your time, schedule yourself to go out into the forest away from technology, turn your phone off and connect with everything else around you. You'll notice when you turn your phone off, you'll literally be able to like feel the Wi-Fi turn off and you'll be able to feel everything else around you. It's pretty profound. Like that's just from my experience that I had Friday into Saturday. I just felt like it was the time for me to do it. And it's something that I'll definitely continually be doing. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and, I have had a lot of dreams of YouTube streaming, clothing, and music with this hour with you. You definitely helped me become a lot more clear-minded towards what I need to do. And you said a key word right in there, John, clear. The biggest mistake that most people make is they're not clear on what they need to do. We have infinite creative potential. And once we're clear on what we want to do, that's when it starts to become manifest. Once I became clear that what I need to do is speak, I'm going to be doing a TED Talk, guys. So I'm really working on, I'm going to be doing a TED Talk within the next 6 months. Like that's happening because I said it's going to happen and I'm like working with people to make that happen. So like I'm doing stuff like that because I got super clear on it. I wrote it out. I know why it is. I know what I'm going to be talking about. And I know like my higher reason and purpose for doing it. But I got super clear on doing that. And because it's clear, now everything is starting to fall into place to make it happen. Just like with you, John, with your YouTube, your streams, your clothing, your music, start to get to a place. Don't rush, but start to get into that place to become clear. Because, you know, just like Gary Vee says this, but this is something I'm experiencing too. Like, especially, I'm just imagining you're younger like me as well. Like, the biggest mistake people in our age group often make is they think they just have to do, once they do one thing, they have to stick to it. But we don't. Like, shoot, look at 50 Cent, right? He was a rapper and then he made like vitamin water and then he sold it. And then now he does like something else and he does all these other things. Like, you don't have to just stick to one thing. Like, do what you love to do it. And then once it gets to it, you could always change and do something else later on. And it's a lot more interesting when you change what you want to do, when it's like, hey, it's a YouTuber, you know what? Like, I'm just going to become a travel blogger now. And it's like, it still makes sense on what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, well, I was working here for 20 years and now I'm going to stop doing this because, you know, I got laid off. Nah, so you don't want to do it. Yeah, there's so much you want to do. I'd say write it. So this is one of the things I did. Like, just write out, like, write purpose really big in the middle of a paper and write all the things you want to do in circles and like around it, and then draw lines to it. And then just put on some chill music. I'm going to go ahead and plug myself. Just check out my music on Spotify or Apple Music, Divinations. Check out the album. So you could just put on some of that stuff in there and then like literally write numbers between 1 to 10 around everything. The things that are 9s and 10s, stick to that and then make your plan. Everything else, you're going to come back to it, or in some way it's going to touch it. The biggest thing is almost, it seems like, look, what you wrote out, you said YouTube and streaming first. If it comes to how all these things really have to work for you, John, first you got to do your YouTube channel, get the people up so you have people following you. And then you start doing your streaming, because if you're doing that, you're seeing them on other stuff. Once you have your 100,000 YouTube people, before you get to 1 million, once you have your 100,000 YouTube followers, right? Then you plug in your clothing line. So that way you have 100,000 people, which say if 1% of them buy something, you have 1,000 people buying a $30 piece of merchandise, and that's 30,000 in sales. So you don't have to worry about who's going to buy my clothes. You already got 100,000 people rocking with you, John. So then throw your clothing in there. And the clothing, you got your music playing in the background, everything, or you got your music playing in the background, all your videos. Another thing is too, free game right here. Free game. If you've got a pencil, take this out. All right. Can't wait to watch the TikTok. Do you think coincidences are real? I think coincidences are just like, think about the word coincide, right? Two things have an incidence at the same exact time, right? And I think everything does happen to a reason. Everything happens for a reason because everything comes into a sequence, right? Or they say like everything has a sequence and everything happens for a reason, because when I'm saying the reason it happens is the reason it happens for you to reflect on it to discover why. I'm not the person to tell you, oh, this happened for this reason, or when this happened, this is the reason. No, something happened and I can simply point the way for you to go, but you're the one that has to take the steps and to read the map and to discover if that's the route you're supposed to go. But if it's not the route you're supposed to go, you're the one that's going to find out, or you're the one to listen to your heart to determine where it is you want to go. But I truly do believe everything happens for a reason, and big things, especially when it comes to like what's going on in the world right now, sometimes we need to get outside of ourselves and stop seeing like humans, because it makes a lot of sense to be like, oh, well, we want all peace and harmony and love and everything going great and all of this. That's amazing. But to get to that point, first, a lot of people need to know and bring awareness to all the bullshit going on, to then start to put into more peaceful, harmonious systems that are more ecological and green, and like people doing things a lot more ethically. But first, you got to bring awareness to the unethical. First, you got to expose all this really creepy stuff going on first, through all these methods that are happening. And then with that, then we can move to these places. Things in life, right? With Angel, the things that are that have happened with your father. If that didn't happen, you would not become this badass day trader. That, think about where you're going to be at in 5 years. Think about how many people you're going to help and teach along the way. That reason for all these things that you went into doing, yeah, like this book is like $6. Like it's not that much. Wait, let me look at it. 10 US $9.99. Amazon's probably less than that. But like Angel, you know, like everything happens for a reason. Because think about that. Like really, the things that happen, as inconvenient as that was with the situation and your father, think about, you're going to be writing books about this and speaking about this in like the next 10 years and helping people out of certain situations. Like, oh, I'm a day trader, I make $90 a day and and I help, get my mom and my son out, my mom and my brother out of this and and help them get a better life and and telling people and helping people out based on what? From these things that happened in your past to help catapult you out into where you're going. All right. Times like this, right? You probably see this, or if not, this is the first place you're seeing it, and you're just going to see it in other places too. Times like these are what breed the most like changes in generations, the most millionaires, the most billionaires, the most changes in success, right? And the thing is, we got to change our perspectives on money, right? Because the thing is, when amazing, beautiful, kind-hearted, spiritual people have money, we could truly change the world and put into process what we want to put into process. Think about it. Like, what would I do with, well, what will I do with $100 million? I'm going to build houses out of hempcrete. Why? Because that stuff's fireproof and naturally insulating. And it's like eco-friendly. Like that stuff's amazing, And then like really help with desalinization. I really want to get into that. I really want to get into desalinization, like salt water into fresh water to help out things in like in Africa and like other countries and stuff like that. Right. The name of the game you mentioned, it's called the Game of Life and How to Play It. Where's my, I don't know where that light is. It's called the Game of, I can't even move that. It's called the Game of Life and How to Play It. The Game of Life and How to Play It. You can see that, the Game of Life and How to Play It. All right. The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. This book is literally 111 pages long. Oh, wait. Yeah, it's 111 pages. And then it literally has affirmations that you say to yourself. Yeah, and you could get on Amazon. It came in like 2 days. Some books like this, yeah, there you go. He found it. John found it for $3. There you go. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. Invest in books. Invest in words. Invest in travel. Invest in food for your body. All right. So I've been going for over an hour. This has been the longest one yet. If y'all have picked up the pattern, I'm doing these every 2 weeks to keep the quality nice and high. I am working on putting snippets out of all these podcasts because I know I have a whole lot. I just hired someone and he's helping me like snip up all my long podcasts into shorter ones so that way I could create more impact. Because I notice most of the times when people watch these, they watch like maybe 7 to 12 minutes and they hop off. So I'm going to really get a lot of these hot points and start to condense it out to make it more shareable for people and like adding subtitles and like really cool stuff like that. So that is definitely coming. I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I want to thank you for all of you tuning in. I am grateful for your support, for your connection, and just for everything. Yeah, so I do this every other Monday at 7:20 Central Time. All right? Every other Monday, 7:20 Central Time. For YouTube, I'll get better at like announcing it and it'll be like scheduled. So, all right, everyone, have a nice day and namaste. I'm very grateful for your participation. And for those listening to the repeat, the meditation is about to start. All right, guys, stay beautiful.